In this video, I will be speaking very plainly and bluntly because the experiences I'm speaking about are my own. The things I experienced are not universal, so I will generally shy away from talking about universal experiences or saying things like everyone has these thoughts because it's not true. So please be aware of the nuances of the topic that I'm speaking on. I do have a script, so if you see me looking down like I am right now, or speaking oddly or in a different tone than I usually do, that's why. I'm not being inauthentic, I didn't have ChatGPT write this, I just wrote down a script so I wouldn't get off track as easily as I usually do. When I was in middle school, I suffered from pretty severe seasonal depression. To be honest, it still gets to me. I was overwhelmed because I was trying to figure out my life with little information and life experience. I also felt trapped within my skin, my house, my school, and my own life. There were a lot of things going on in my mind, and there were also the physical changes of puberty. I felt terrible. It felt like there was no escape from the horribleness, so I started cutting myself. Later in my life, I was talking about it with my friend from that time, and dismissively said, "Yeah, I was just doing it for attention." She paused and then replied, "If you're willing to do that for attention, then something really is wrong." I still think about that to this day. While it was true that I felt like I was doing it for attention, I now realize I was just telling myself that to feel even worse about myself. I eventually stopped for a period of time after my dad saw the cuts, and it scared me. In 8th grade, I did genuinely get a little bit better, but really only in the summer and the lighter months. I relapsed a few times. I can't remember most of those, but one time I definitely remember. It was this January, and for some reason I felt lonely and sad enough that I did it, which was extra bad because I had promised myself and I had made a goal that I wouldn't relapse. I had just made new friends a few months before, and I was struggling to go and tell them about it, but once I did, I felt so relieved. I realized that one of the reasons I was hurting myself was because I wasn't telling them and I isolated myself from their support. Fast forward to late March. That friend group had grown and connected so much faster than I could have dreamed, and it was going really well. We could talk about serious things, deliberate on topics in our AP English class, then flip around and laugh until we cried. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, even if I didn't know it was happening until a few months later. There had been a few upsetting encounters with me and this one girl, but I had always forgiven her and moved on, because she was one of my besties. March 24th, I sent the audio message of doom. I had witnessed a behavior in the group, and I'd let it go on for a while until I just couldn't take it. I admit, I was at fault for letting it go for so long, and I had kept it inside for so long that I sort of lashed out about it. The message was not received well, specifically by the one girl. She lashed out at me, and I brushed it off, thinking I deserved it. The following day, she and another one of my friends took me on a walk and talked it out. I say that in quotations because she was really the only one that spoke. I stewed on what she said the whole day and eventually cried so hard in 6th period that I had to leave the room. When I got home, I waited until my mom left to pick up my brother to start bawling again. I felt terrible. I flip-flopped from blaming everything on me to blaming everything on her. For the first time in my life, I genuinely thought about killing myself. Yeah, I'd been depressed and hurt myself in middle school and from then on, but I had never seriously considered ending it. That afternoon, I came close. I was crying on the living room couch, begging God aloud to give me a reason not to kill myself. I came up with some, but none of them were good enough. My friends would miss me? Nah, they wouldn't care. I didn't have many anyways. My family would miss me? I didn't care about that because they didn't care about who I truly was. My dog would miss me? Okay, fair point. But she'd be fine. She loved me only because I gave her food. Probably. So, I numbly stood up and walked into the kitchen and reached in the knife drawer. At that point, I wasn't crying as much. The tears had dried on my cheeks, though my throat burned and my eyes stung. I still remember the exact knife I grabbed. I pushed it up against my neck and begged God one last time before I met him in person to tell me a reason not to end it. This time, I heard a strong, sure voice in my head. because you will get through this and eventually help others feeling the same things you are feeling now. I instantly felt the Spirit bring another bout of tears to my eyes, and I dropped to the floor immediately. I thanked God with all of my might and put the knife back. I don't really remember what happened next. I think I took a nap. Sleeping after crying is an incredible feeling. What I do know is that I'm here now, alive and telling you my story. So if you're watching and feeling a similar feeling to younger me, I'm here to tell you it gets better. Although it didn't happen immediately, I got out of that toxic friendship. I'm now going to the school I've been wanting to go to for 2 years, and I'm here telling you my story publicly on YouTube, the place where I hope to start a career. If you're struggling, the best advice I can give you is to reach out. Ask for help. I know I sound like a school guidance counselor saying that, but coming from a peer, please do it. I promise it makes it better. If you really don't have someone safe to do so, you should try and get it out somehow. Journal. Talk out loud to yourself. Talk out loud to an imaginary YouTube channel or a real YouTube channel or your dog. It helps to get it out, to see it, to hear it. Whatever is making you sad, whatever is worrying you, giving you anxiety, it helps to write it down, to say it out loud, to identify it. Find something to fuel yourself other than self-loathing. Find coping mechanisms other than cutting yourself. Reach out in other ways, such as performing service for others. And if you're on the journey of recovering, remember that is not always a linear path, and you have to be patient with yourself. That's that. I hope I conveyed myself well enough for you to understand, and I hope I maybe made your day just a little bit better. Love you. Goodbye.